Echo 361 Study Session 5 Money and Capital Markets. Introduction. In this study session, we'll discuss the meaning of money market and main features of capital market. We will also explore the multiplier approach of money supply determinant. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this study session, you should be able to 1. Explain the meaning of money market. 2. Discuss the main features of capital market. 3. Analyze multiplier approach of money supply determinant. Money market. A money market is the market where short-term loans are obtained. It is a market where money is transacted between the lender and borrower. This market is used by banks to finance their temporary shortage in reserve. Companies use it to finance consumer credit. Business enterprises use it to raise funds for the purchase of inventories, and governments use it to meet the shortfall between the receipt and outlays. The money market is absolutely different from the conventional markets like the Bodija market, because there is no specific place that could be called a money market. Although the activities in this market could be concentrated in a particular area, such as Broad Street in Lagos, Nigeria, Lombard Street in London, and Wall Street in New York, the United States, the transactions are impersonal, which mostly are through telephones and internet. The people that often patronize this market, or better still, the dealers in the market, are the individuals, firms, and government agencies with surplus funds, and individual firms and government agencies in need of these funds. For instance, a bank might have accumulated enough or excess cash reserve in order to be solvent in time of need, especially during festive period, but in the meantime may decide to invest these excess funds in short-term interest earning assets. Salako 2005 gave the main feature of the money market as a concentration of fund and the employment of liquid assets of varying periods of maturity. It could be deduced from this that the necessary condition for the growth of money market is the availability of short-term fund of which the owners are ready to invest at a relatively low yield. In addition to this, there must be a continuous and sufficient flow of assets with varying periods of maturities. The presence of middlemen, which are called financial intermediaries, are inevitable because they bring together pool of resources in the economy and invest them in short-term bills. Also, the central bank's presence is vital in order to act as the lender of last resort that is capable of guaranteeing the liquidity of at least some of the assets being traded. Advantages of money market. A. This market provides the public the opportunities to invest in fairly liquid and riskless assets. B. It allows the banks to invest their secondary line of reserves in earnings or profitable assets which minimize their cash holding. C. The banks use this market to even out fluctuations in their flows of funds within the different parts of the wider market. D. the market's pattern of interest serves as a good barometer to the central bank in order to know the surplus or shortage of funds in the economy. E. Operations in this market have spillover effects on other sectors of the economy, especially if the market is highly integrated. Thus, it spreads the effects of monetary policy. And F. Comprehensive money policy is undertaken by the central bank with the existence of money market. Development of money market in Nigeria. Prior to the establishment of the Central Bank of Nigeria, there was no money market in Nigeria. This is not to say that the use of short-term monetary instrument did not exist before the establishment of the central bank. Even before the introduction of commercial banking, there had been some elements of short-term lending and borrowing based on commercial paper. This market was an integral part of the London money market. According to Ajayi 2006, these funds were moved from London to Nigeria during the season so as to finance the export of produce, while at the end of the season the funds were moved back to London where there was all-season money market activities. There was a repatriation of the Rowing Fund to Nigeria for the country's economic development. Immediately, the Nigerian money market was established through the central bank. It was in 1960 when the first treasury bill was issued in Nigeria by the Central Bank of Nigeria. These bills were in multiples of 1,000 naira and were issued on a monthly basis. The regular weekly issue of the bills were placed with monthly issues in 1963. Later, the treasury bills were issued in multiples of 2,000 and were for 3 months with a fixed discount rate. Any prospective buyer must make his application through a licensed bank or acceptance house. The CBN underwrote the bill such that it takes over the unsubscribed portion, which was subsequently sold to the public. The CBN also provide rediscounting facilities for the bills. The Treasury Certificate, which was a new money market instrument, was introduced in 1963. Maturity ranges from 12 to 24 months. This instrument widened the range of maturities of securities in the market and increases the amount of short-term finance available to the government. In spite of the dominance of the treasury bills and treasury certificate, there are some other money market instruments that existed side by side with them. In 1962, the core money instrument was introduced to provide an avenue for the investment of surplus funds. Initially, this core money was designed for the commercial banks but was later extended to other financial institutions. Also in 1962, the commercial bill finance was introduced in order to finance the export marketing operation of the then Northern Marketing Board. This arrangement made provisions for the marketing board to meet cash requirements by drawing 90 days bill of exchange on the Nigerian Produce Marketing Company, which is the sole exporter of all the marketing boards. The commercial banks then discount these bills, in which the rediscounting facilities for the bills were done by the CBN. By 1978, the certificate of deposit was introduced and issued by the merchant banks, which were held by the commercial banks. The same year also witnessed the introduction of the Bankers Unit Fund, which was an arrangement that places deposit with CBN for investment in available development stocks. Capital market. The capital market is the market where long-term loans are obtained. But differently, this is a market for the transactions of long-term debt and equity obligations. There are two types of capital market, namely the primary and secondary market. The primary market is the market that deals with the selling of fresh or new securities when they are first offered by the issuing firm to the market. Given the fact that buyers of these securities will eventually resell them later, there is a market for such old securities, and this is the secondary market. The merchant banks, otherwise known as investment banking, dominated the primary market. Any firm that intends to raise new capital often does so through this investment banking. This investment banker advises the prospective clients of firms on the price of the new security and their type, that is, ordinary or preferred shares, in a way that will serve the needs of the firm and those of the public. The situation is always that the investment banker underwrites a new issue of shares by buying them from the issuing firm and selling them to the public. Currently, the Nigerian banking industry is characterized by the universal banking system, where the commercial banks perform all functions of investment banking. Thus, the primary capital market is now dominated by commercial banks and issuing houses. The stock exchange market dominates the secondary capital market. The transaction in this market takes place through jobbers and brokers. The jobbers do not deal directly with the public, but they buy and sell securities, while the broker is an intermediary between the jobber and the public. In Nigeria, the Lagos Stock Exchange was established in 1960 and was later changed to the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 1977 with the aim of buying and selling old securities. Development of Nigerian capital market. The development of Nigerian capital market was as a result of the initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria. With the establishment of the Central Bank of Nigeria, a wide range of development stocks and premium bonds were issued. The CBN underwrites such issues and sells some of its holdings to other institutions. In an attempt to satisfy or comply with the Nigerian Enterprise Promotion Decree of 1972, the activities of the capital market was intensified through the issuance of shares of the foreign firms. In 1973, the Capital Issues Commission was established to regulate the prices of shares and the timing of the issue of shares. Several ways have been put forward by the federal government to encourage the development of the capital market in Nigeria. The Issuance Act was passed in 1964 to compel the issuance companies to invest locally at least 2/5 of their premium received on locally insured risk in any year. Also in 1961, the Income Tax Management Act was passed, which compelled the existing pension and provident fund managers to invest at least 1/3 of their funds in Nigerian government stocks. They were thereafter required to invest half their funds in these stocks. Presently, the 2004 Pension Reform Act also makes provision for the fund managers to invest part of the funds in securities. Money supply. Several definitions of money supply are born in the literature. While some gave it narrow definitions, others broadened the scope of money supply in their definition. Here, the definition of money supply is given in the context of the Nigerian economy as the total amount of currency outside the banking sector, commercial bank demand deposit, central bank domestic deposit, and less both state and federal government demand deposit at commercial banks, according to Ajayi 1981. In Nigeria, most of the money supply is in the currency outside the banks due to the people's attitude to banking. Determinants of money supply. The following are the determinants of money supply. A. The attitude of the non-bank public in allocating their money between currency and demand deposits. The higher the non-bank public's marginal currency deposit ratio, the smaller will be the expansion of deposit and the money supply resulting from an increase in the monetary base or high-powered money. B. The decision of the monetary authorities to change the size of high-powered money and also its right to pay or fix legal reserve ratio. C. Another determinant is the decisions of the banks concerning the amount of reserve to keep at any point in time. It is the bank's perception of the business environment, economic activities, and their foresight that determine these reserves. Multiplier approach. The behavior of these factors that determine the supply of money could be expressed in a simple way using the multiplier approach that was put forward by Ajayi 2006. Let M equals C plus D as equation 4, that's narrow definition of money. C equals CD, that's equation 5. M equals CD plus D. M equals D times 1 plus C in bracket. But H equals R plus D and R equals RD, where M equals money supply, C equals currency outside the banks, D equals high powered money, R equals banking reserves, C equals currency minus deposit ratio, R equals reserve minus deposit ratio. Equation A can be rewritten as H equals RD plus CD, H equals D, then R plus C in bracket. D equals H over R plus C. From equation 7, M equals D times 1 plus C in bracket. Substitute equation 12 and 7. M equals 1 plus C over R plus C in bracket times H, which equals ZH, where Z equals 1 plus C over R plus C. Equation 13a shows that the money supply is influenced by the currency deposit ratio, reserve deposit ratio, as well as the high powered money. The Z, which is a multiplier in equation 13a, has economic importance, and this could be seen if we rewrite the multiplier in a linear form as Z equals Z times C and R in bracket. Differentiating totally will help us to account for the changes in the multiplier, which is dz equals dz by dc times dc plus dz by dr times dr, or dz equals f1 dc plus fz dr. By partially differentiating 13b and substituting, we have its value into equation 15, given as dz equals the absolute value of r minus 1 over r plus c squared times dc, which equals 1 plus c over r plus c squared times dr. The implication of equation 16 is that the higher the currency deposit ratio, the worse the allocation of assets against the banking system. This could also be interpreted that the more the currency deposit ratio, the worse the banks suffer a net loss of cash reserves. Also, in the same vein, a rise in bank reserve requirements would decline the rate with which banks could increase money supply. The multiplier approach above is based on the narrow definition of money. However, if broader definition of money is used to calculate the multiplier, what we are going to get will be different from what we got above. Assume that money supply M is made up of currency in circulation C plus demand deposit D plus the sum of time and savings deposit S. We have M equals C plus D plus S. The currency and high power money relation that we define in equation 5 and 8 remain unchanged. We now define savings as S equals SD, where S is savings ratio. Thus banking reserves R can be defined as R equals small rd plus small rs, where R equals R times D plus S in bracket. Given that H equals R plus C, H equals small rd plus small rsd plus cd. Thus H equals D of R plus SR plus C in bracket. D equals H over R plus RS plus C. However, equation 17 becomes M equals CD plus D plus SD. That's equation 22. M equals D of 1 plus C plus S in bracket. That's equation 23. Substituting equation 21 in 23, we have M equals 1 plus C plus S over R plus RS plus C in bracket times H, which equals ZH, where Z equals 1 plus C plus S over R plus RS plus C. Inclusion of treasury bills in high-powered money. There are some problems that are associated with the definition of high-powered money in Nigeria. Conventionally, high-powered money consists of currency in the hands of the public plus the bank's reserves. However, as a general framework, high-powered money could be said to include assets that serve as primary reserves in the banking system. Treasury bills held by the banks are part of their reserve assets in Nigerian banking system. There are some anomalies that is associated with this system, because when treasury bills are held within the banking system, they are regarded as high-powered money, but when they are held by the public, it is not high-powered money. The following is the multiplier of money supply with the inclusion of treasury bills in the high-powered money, which was called from Ajayi 2006. M equals C plus D plus S. The high-powered money becomes H equals R plus C plus TB, where R and C are defined above. YTB naught is the value of treasury bill held by the public. The ratio of treasury bill to deposit is represented by T. Given equation 27, high-powered money becomes H equals D of, open the bracket, R plus RS plus C plus T, close bracket. D equals H over R plus RS plus C plus T. Therefore, M equals 1 plus C plus R over R plus RS plus C plus T, all in bracket, of H. The multiplier Z is now Z equals 1 plus C plus R over R plus RS plus C plus T. Thus, by expressing the money supply as a function of the multiplier and high-powered money, it could be said that the money supply depends on high-powered money while the multiplier is held constant. But differently, we can say that money supply can be determined by the high-powered money and the multiplier, which is more realistic, according to Ajayi 1981 and 2006. Control of money supply. The Central Bank of Nigeria is legally allowed to issue legal tender in Nigeria. It is this institution that ultimately controls the activities and policies of commercial banks and other financial institutions. Thus, one is so tempted to inquire, given the analysis that we have done so far, whether the central bank will actually achieve precision in the control of high-powered money. That is, can the central bank actually set the money supply target based on the fact on ground about the behavior of banks and non-bank public? It will be difficult for the central bank to achieve a given level of money supply. The central bank can only have control over its monetary policies, but not the behavior of the banks and non-banking public, and this will make it difficult to attain a certain level of money supply in the economy. Summary. In this study session, you learned that money market is where short-term loans are obtained. The origin of money market in Nigeria can be dated back to the activities of London money market. These funds were moved from London to Nigeria during the season so as to finance the export of produce, while at the end of the season the funds were moved back to London. The capital market, on the other hand, is the market where long-term loans are obtained. This is the end of study session 5. Thanks for listening.